Hello! Pizza Pax here, and we're back with Throwback Thursday, episode number 51. Yeah, it's hard to believe that we've been doing this almost a year. Today we have Dave Humphreys' Semifinalist deck from Berlin in August 2003. Dave the Humphreys blue-green deck combines the Mini Madness cards from the Torment set, including Basking Rootwalla, Arrogant Worm, and Circular Logic, with discard enablers like Aquamoeba and Wild Mongrel for tremendous effect. So there's a similar deck played the year prior. This one's a little different. So let's get a look at what the Hump played. Way back in August 2003. Ooh, double sealed. I don't see many of those. Some years they did a double seal, some years they did not. Apparently this is a year that they did. Only bad thing about this style is this is heat sealed, which is always a little more difficult to open up. I see the seam, I just can't catch it for some reason. Alright, just need a little pokey thing. Come on. There we go. Snagged a bit. Nice and crisp. Ooh. Ooh, one of the cards apparently got jammed up in sealing. That's interesting. You don't see that very often. Alright. Dave Humphreys, Blue-Green Madness. Let's see if we can get that to focus a little better. There we go. Main deck. Creatures 4 Aquamoeba from Torment. 3 Arrogant Worm from Torment. 4 Basking Rootwalla for Torment. Man, they weren't joking. A lot of these cards are from Torment. 4 Wild Mongrel from Odyssey. One of the best cards on Standard at the time. Back when it's called Type 2. 3 Wonder from Judgment. And then for spells, we have 4 Careful Study from Odyssey. Still played heavily in Pauper. 4 Circular Logic from Torment. 2 Deep Analysis from Torment. 1 Croson Reclamation from Judgment. 2 Quiet Speculation from Judgment. 1 Ray of Revelation from Judgment. 3 Roar of the Worm from Odyssey. 3 Unsummoned from 8th edition. Hey, something that's not from Odyssey block. 1 Centaur Garden from Odyssey. 2 City of Brass from 8th edition. 8 Forests from 8th edition. 11 Islands from 8th edition. And for the sideboard, we have 1 Deep Analysis from Torment, 2 Envelop from Judgment, 1 Croson Reclamation from Judgment, 2 Mana Leak from 8th edition, 2 Nantuko Vigilante from Legions. Hey, that's pretty cool. 2 Phantom Centaur from Judgment, 1 Ray of Revelation from Judgment, 2 Stupefying Touch from Torment, 1 Unsummoned from 8th edition, and 1 Wonder from Judgment. Very nice. I wonder why he had the 1 Wonder in the sideboard. Like, what do you bring that in for? Also, since many of these cards were printed in the older frame, they have, and the way they did these, they printed them all in the new frame. Several of these have their only printing in a new frame in these decks. Let's see, collect all 4 World Championship decks. Relive the excitement of the 2003 World Championships with these 4 commemorative decks. Daniel Zink, World Champion. Daniel Zink's white, blue, green Wake deck is a control deck at heart. Once the powerful enchantment Mirari's Wake is in play, the deck produces more mana, draws more cards, counters more spells, and makes more soldiers than opponents can possibly handle. We'll be opening that next week. Dave Humphreys. So this deck, Semifinalist Dave the Humphreys blue-green deck combines many of the Madness cards from the Torment set, including Basking Root Wall, Arrogant Worm, and Circular Logic, with discard enablers like Aquamoeba and Wild Mongrel for tremendous effect. Peter Kruger, we opened that 2 weeks ago. We skipped a week for Birthday Bonanza. Quarterfinalist, Hometown Hero Peter Kruger. Reanimator deck was a nightmare for his opponents. The black-red deck excels at putting scary monsters into the graveyard and then bringing them into play. We have Wolfgang Eder, so what we opened 3 weeks ago. Quarterfinalist, Wolfgang Eder introduced the black-red Goblin Bidding deck to the world at the European Championships. The typical Goblin Horde deck gets an incredible mid-game play in Patriarch's Bidding, which brings every goblin in the graveyard back into play. Nice. Alright, and as with our prior traditions, we're going to go with the sideboard first. But we also have this little bio. Dave Humphreys, semifinalist. The top 8 is familiar territory for professional Magic player Dave Humphreys, with over $130,000 in career winnings and a Pro Tour championship on his resume. The Hump advanced to the World Semifinals for the second year in a row, where he lost to eventual champion Daniel Zink. The Blue-Green Madness deck he played has been a standard mainstay for more than a year. It revolves around Torment Madness cards like Basking Root Wall and Circular Logic, together with discard enablers like Aquamoeba and Wild Mongrel. Humphreys, who recently earned his PhD from MIT, credits this version of the deck to Norway's Sigurd Esklund. I think that's how you say the last name. Very nice. Alright, so for the deck we have Deep Analysis, or for the sideboard we have Deep Analysis from Torment, art by Darren Bader, 3 in a blue, sorcery, target player draws 2 cards, flashback, 1 in a blue, pay 3 life. This was, and again, many of these had their first modern border printing in these decks. Including Deep Analysis. I am not going to bring that up for everything, but just know almost every card in this should have been in the old frame unless it was 8th edition. Next up we have Envelop. Pretty sure Envelop has never had a modern border printing, but I could be wrong about that. From Judgment, art by Don Hazeltine. For a blue, it's an instant that counters target sorcery spell. We have 2 copies of Envelop. Next up, Croson Reclamation, also from Judgment, art by Gary Rudell. 1 in a green instant, target player shuffles up to 2 target cards from his or her graveyard into his or her library, and then flashback 1 in a green. Very nice. Next up, Mana Leak, with the original art from Stronghold. Pretty sure it's Stronghold. This is the 8th edition printing. Art by Christopher Rush. 1 in a blue, instant, counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Just classic soft counter spell. Nantuko Vigilante. Art by Alex Orlandelli. This is from Legions. A set that is famous for having only creatures. But 3 in a green for a 3/2 Insect Druid Mutant. I believe this actually updated its type too, with Morph, 1 in a green, so you can play it face down as a 2/2 for 3, and then turn it face up anytime for its Morph cost. Funny thing, that actually is a special game action that happens outside of the stack. When Nantuko Vigilante is turned face up, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Very nice. We have 2 copies of Nantuko Vigilante. Next up we have Phantom Centaur, also from Judgment. Art by Carl Critchlow. 2 green for a 2/0 Centaur Spirit, with protection from black. When it comes into play with 3 +1/+1 counters on it, and if damage would be dealt to it, prevent that damage and remove a +1/+1 counter from it. Very nice. Good way to blockade black cards. And we have 2 copies. Next up, Ray of Revelation, also from Judgment. Art by Doug Chaffee. 1 and a white, instant, destroy target enchantment, flashback for a green. Just a good way to deal with enchantments. Stupefying Touch. This is one I haven't seen in a very long time. Art from Torment, or this is the printing from Torment. Art by Bradley Williams. 1 and a blue for an enchant creature. When it comes into play, draw a card. Enchanted creatures' activated abilities can't be activated. This says can't be played, but can't be activated. And we have 2, Stupefying Touch. I genuinely wonder what that's for. Is that for the mirror? Because that would be a really good way to handle the mirror. Just shutting down their wild mongrels. Next up we have Unsummon. This generally was for against anything that was in the go big kind of idea. So a lot of Reanimator was running around. This was a good way of dealing with some of the big threats early. This is the 8th edition printing, art by Ron Spencer. For blue, it's an instant, return target creature to its owner's hand. And then next up we have Wonder. It's the last one. Also from Judgment, art by Rebecca Guay. 3 and a blue for a 2/2 creature incarnation with flying. As long as Wonder is in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control have flying. Very nice. Right. Now for the main deck. Now many of these cards, if you've watched this series, you'll recognize from other videos. But still. Aquamoeba. From Torment, art by Arnie Sweckel. 1 and a blue for a 1/3 beast. Discard a card from your hand. Switch Aquamoeba's power and toughness until end of turn. One of the core discard enablers, and just nice little beatdown. It's a 7-turn clock on its own. And we should have 4 copies. Yep. Next up, Arrogant Worm, also from Torment. Art by John Avon. 3 green for 4/4 worm. You will almost never pay that because it has trample and then madness. 2 and a green. So you may pay it for its madness cost at the time you discard it from your hand. So, very nice. 2, 3 copies of Arrogant Worm. Next up, Basking Root Walla from Torment. Art by Heather Hudson. You can play it for a green. Most of the time you don't. For a 1/1 Lizard, and then for 1 and a green, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and you can only play that once each turn. And then it has Madness 0. This actually still sees quite a bit of play in Bizarre Baghdad strategies in Vintage, and occasionally you'll see it played in Legacy as well. We have 4 Basking Root Wallas, and of course it is played in Premodern. A version of this deck, almost card for card, gets played in Premodern even today. Let's see, next up we have Wild Mongrel from Odyssey, art by Anthony S. Waters. 1 and a green for a 2/2 hound. Discard a card from your hand. Wild Mongrel gets +1/+1 and becomes a color of your choice until end of turn. This was one of the most powerful cards in the deck. It was massive discard enabler and just a way to end the game very quickly. We have 4 copies of Wild Mongrel. Except Wonder, same one that's in the sideboard, from Judgment, art by Rebecca Guay. 3 and a blue for a 2/2 incarnation with flying. As long as Wonder is in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control have flying. You're almost never going to play the front side of this unless you absolutely need to get a creature on board. You want to just discard this into your graveyard. We have 3 copies in the main deck. Now we're moving on to the spells, where we have Careful Study. From Odyssey, art by Scott M. Fisher. For a blue, it's a sorcery. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards from your hand. Still sees play in Pauper. Occasionally sees play in Legacy. There's a reason this card's like $9, even though it's a common. Then I think it's only had 1 printing. And it was an old border, so I think this is the only new border printing of it. Circular Logic. From Torment, art by Anthony S. Waters. 2 and a blue, instant, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 for each card in your graveyard. Madness for a blue. It just protects your guys. That's what it does. Most of the time, you're just playing it for a blue, and it's better than Mana Leak on its own. Deep Analysis, also from Torment. Most of the time you're going to be playing this out of your graveyard. Art by Darren Bader. 3 in a blue, sorcery, target player draws 2 cards, flashback, 1 in a blue, pay 3 life. Funny enough, the targeting actually matters, because Misdirection was a card played around this time. So we have 2 copies. Next up we have Croson Reclamation. Good way to shuffle things back into your deck. And we had one in the sideboard as well from Judgment. Art by Gary Rudell. 1 in a green instant. Target player shuffles up to 2 cards from his or her graveyard into his or her library. Flashback, 1 in a green. Also just nice synergy with Quiet Speculation. Quiet Speculation, 1 in a... or from Judgment. Art by John Avon. 1 in a blue. Oh, I just noticed what the art on that is. That is cool. 1 in a blue for a sorcery. Search target player's library for up to 3 cards of flashback and put them into that player's graveyard. Then that player shuffles his or her library. Most of the time you're going to target yourself with this. Most of the time you're going to go and get Deep Analysis as one of those cards. Along with generally Roar the Worm. We have 2 copies. Ray of Revelation, also a great target, especially against any kind of enchantment-based strategy. I think Opposition was still being played at this point, but I could be wrong. I know it was played heavily in the prior season. Ray of Revelation, also from Judgment, art by Doug Chaffee, 1 in a white, instant, destroy target enchantment, flashback for green. Plays really nice with Quiet Speculation. As does Roar of the Worm. Let's see, from Odyssey, art by Kev Walker, 6 in a green, sorcery. Put a 6/6 green worm creature token into play, and then flashback, 3 in a green. A 6/6 for 4 is not bad, especially if you can set it up with Quiet Speculation. We have 2 copies of Roar of the Worm. Except Unsummon from 8th edition, art by Ron Spencer. For blue, it's an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. 3 copies of Roar of the Worm? Yeah, that just got miscollated. And then we have 3 copies of Unsummon. And that's all the spells. Except we have Centaur Gardens. One of my favorite cycles of land of all time. It's the Odyssey utility lands with Threshold. This is one of them. See, it's a land that you can tap for a green, and it deals 1 damage to you. And if you have Threshold, you can pay a green, tap and sacrifice it to give target creature +3/+3 until end of turn. Cephalid Coliseum is my favorite one, by the way, if anyone had any question about it. Centaur Garden is pretty cool. Next up we have City of Brass from 8th edition, art by Randy Wolotsky. I think this art was reprinted in Modern Masters, but I could be wrong. And a black border. But whenever City of Brass becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to you, and then tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Keep in mind that is a trigger, so you can respond to it. There's some cool things you can do because of that. It is a little different from Mana Confluence, which is the card more people are familiar with at this point, because it is more recent. But we have 2 copies of City of Brass. And next up, we have our basics. So we have 8 forests. So this is the 8th edition printing with art by John Avon. 2 of those. We have another 8th edition printing with art by John Avon. 3 of those. And another 8th edition printing with art by John Avon. So 3 different arts, same artist. All great lands. Next up we have 11 Islands. 8th edition printing with art by John Avon. Another 8th edition printing, this time with art by Tony Sakudlo. 2 copies of that, sorry. Then we have an 8th edition printing with art by Scott Bailey. 3. Oh, looks like we also have more of the Tony Scudlo printing. And the John Avon printing. Oh, okay. It's just a weird number of them. We have 4 John Avon Islands. 4 Scott Bailey Islands. And then 3 Tony Scudlo Islands. Very nice. Just a classic Madness deck. Played by Dave the Hump Humphreys. I would be happy carrying this into a pre-modern tournament even now. It's a fun deck. But thank you for joining me on this adventure. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff for the algorithm. It really helps us out and helps me bring more cool videos like this to all of you. But until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.